super sick. I love that. And this is all just, randomization essentially. Hello friends, I hope you all are staying creative, and if not, then this video might be perfect for you. Today I will be sharing a few techniques that I use to generate musical melodic ideas in Ableton Live. Let's get right into it and talk about the power of sampling. There are a bunch of ways you can sample something. The traditional approach to sampling is to load an audio file into a sampler or just drag the audio file directly into your DAW project. But we can do more than just that. Ableton gives you the ability to convert the harmony, melody, or percussion of an audio file directly to MIDI. Say you find a sample and you like the melody, but you're not really a big fan of the sound. What you can do is extract the melody to MIDI and then use the instrument of your choice. So for example, I have this loop right here that I got from a pack. It's nothing crazy, but doesn't go super well with the beat. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the sound, but I think the melody has some potential. So what you do is you can just go here, right click, and if you convert to melody, it's going to do singular notes, essentially like monophonic, and harmony, it can spit out some chords and stuff. But this particular sound is just single notes playing, so I'm going to convert the MIDI, and that opens up Operator with the extracted MIDI. So let's take a listen to that. Sounds pretty right. Now let's use a different instrument. I like this perk blip bleep, so I'm going to drag that to the channel. Let's listen to that. This sounds a little bit more playful and funky, so that fits the vibe more. Turn off the original. I'm going to change up a couple more notes. I'm going to get rid of this C, bring this down. Do that, add another note there. Put some groove on it. And then what you can do is you can duplicate that and layer it with something else. So let's get a harp in there. Let's get that harp. Lower the release, lower the decay so it's more plucky. There we go. And now we can group those two tracks together by pressing Command G. And then let's throw a delay on there. Let's do that, bring this down. Bring this input down. So that's one way to use audio to generate ideas. Another way is, of course, a sampler, like I'd mentioned earlier. But rather than using the classic mode of the sampler, we're going to use this thing called slice. And what this does is you can slice the audio file by transients. So right here, I have a drum loop from a sample pack on Loop Cloud. It's like this kind of airy jazz drum loop. I've loaded that into the sampler and I'm slicing by transients. So there's a couple different parameters here. There's a sensitivity, so that's just kind of the sensitivity of picking up these transients. So 100% is going to pick up everything, 0% is going to pick up nothing. I have mine set to 100. I have the playback mode set to poly so that the notes can overlap. And I'm using this sequencer to actually sequence the drums. So I've kind of just put in this random pattern here. These notes, just like this pattern, a couple random octave shifts, but it sounds pretty cool. Take a listen. And of course, we can make this pattern longer. Give it some randomization. So this is a great way to get a nice drum groove going without really putting in much thought. As you saw, I just clicked a bunch of notes randomly and it just happened to sound pretty good. So obviously you could see how if you start fine tuning it, you can get a really good sound. So that brings me to my next tip, and that is to use MIDI effects. This includes sequencers, chord tools, scaling tools, anything that affects the notes and the MIDI information. So for example, right here, I am using the sequencer called Roser, which if you've seen my videos before, you've probably seen me use this plugin. It's free, it's a Max for Life plugin, and it's essentially a really powerful sequencer that I mainly use it for its randomization tools. So if I click this random button, all these parameters will be randomized. So everything from the note, pitch, the octaves, velocity, everything. I've also set the sequencer to be in key. So I've used Aeolian, which is essentially minor, and this is in F minor. It's kind of hard to see right here, but you can change the key. And so this is what that pattern sounds like. Play without everything. So, pretty cool pattern, nothing crazy. And I'm using just pretty much just a sine wave on operator. And then I have this tool here. This is also another free Max for Life plugin. I think it's free, I believe. It's called Schwarzenator, and it essentially makes these crazy chords with whatever MIDI is coming in. So check this out. Sounds so cool. And you can spread it more right here. So it's going more higher and lower in pitch. That's a little too much. It's very sensitive, so I kind of have to do like on like 4, maybe. You can also randomize it a little bit, which is nice. And so with that, it sounds like this. That sounds super sick. I love that. And this is all just, randomization essentially. And then what I do is I come here, create a new MIDI track, and I record that MIDI so I don't lose it. So then I can click randomize again and see what other patterns come about. So let's do that. Okay, I have that pattern, and now we can create a new one. Let's randomize. I don't like that one as much. There's also this thing called Little Brother. I'm not exactly sure what it does, but it's another like chord plugin, so I can use that in combination with Schwarzenator. Ooh, I like that. And then I can also put it in key there. This is just a scale tool in Ableton, so it just puts it into the key of the track. So again, F minor. That sounds pretty dope. So we can record that MIDI right here. But essentially, you can literally just keep clicking random and find something that sounds pretty cool. And of course, go in here and you can modify stuff too. But yeah, very powerful tool, especially when you're stuck and you just don't know what to do. Just click random a bunch of times. Let the plugin do the work, honestly. This last technique involves playing your melody on the keyboard and using the scale function. So I am not a professional piano player. I don't have any formal experience in playing keys. So this is great to keep me in the key of the track, and I can just go crazy on the keyboard. And so, it'll sound decent because you're in key, and then every now and then you'll have moments where there'll be something really cool that you did, and you'll feel like Mozart. So here's an example. I have this right here. It's this like wind lead, and let me just play some stuff, see if I can generate any cool ideas. think there was some usable stuff from here. Usually I would play for a couple minutes and then just take the little bits and pieces that were the best from that whole take. I really like this method to create more like ambient sounds. As you can see here, this wind instrument's not really like a main lead per se. It's a little bit more Atmos-y. But works really well on pads when you're trying to just create some moods for those like deeper tracks, because you can just like play these like really intense chords and have these lush pad sounds, because you can pair the scaling function with the chord function. So as you can see, I tried this out with this sound, but it didn't really work out, this minor tim. So I left it without it, but I've done that before too, and it works pretty well. So there you have it. Hopefully those tips were helpful, and if they were, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you get updates on my future videos. And if you want to learn how to get that raw analog sound in the box, then be sure to click on my last video right here, or right here, somewhere up there.